This tree is Cypress obtusa, which is a dwarf Hinoki cypress. It's a very healthy tree, lots of young growth, good color of the foliage. So that is a good signal that the tree is ready to be styled. Now, it's about 8 to 10 years old, I think. It's never been styled as a bonsai before, so I bought it in a nursery for around $100, which isn't very cheap, but like I said, it's 8 to 10 years old. It's got a nice trunk, so I think it's got good potential for bonsai. It's fall right now, so it's a good time to style this kind of trees. Right now I wouldn't touch the roots because we're going into winter. So today I'm only going to prune and wire the tree. And then in the next spring, or perhaps a year later, I'll put it in a bonsai container. But first let's study the tree a little bit. So like I said, it's got a really nice thick trunk with a bit of a thick section here, which doesn't look very nice, so eventually we can fix that perhaps by adding some shari, so deadwood features. And then if I move up, the trunk splits into a main side branch and the rest of the trunk, and it becomes a bit thinner as well. And then a bit higher up the trunk, it again splits into two right here, and both are a bit thinner as well. So there's a lot of thick branches here and here as well. And I'm thinking of really reducing the size of the tree and not using the big branches, but using the younger and smaller branches, which I can still bend very easily. If that is indeed what we're going to do, that means that this branch will be gone, perhaps used as a gin feature, so a bold branch. This would go. So I'm taking, even by only removing these 3 or 4 large branches, I'm removing more than half of the foliage of the tree. So that is a decision that you have to make. So the tree won't be an instant bonsai because we're taking so much out. We'll need some time for younger branches to develop again. But I think it's the right decision to make because these branches I'm not a big fan of. So I am going to remove them, or at least part of them, and then using them as a gin feature. I'll shape the tree with much younger branches like this or this. Perhaps this one. Well, let's see. And like I said, using that younger material, it makes my life a little bit easier being able to bend them. But I do add another year or maybe 2 years of development time before this really starts looking like a bonsai. So first things first, removing a few of the really big branches. All right, so this big one I'm removing at least all the living parts of it, and the rest I'll use as a gin. So all the living foliage here I'm removing off this branch. All right, but that already takes a good chunk of foliage away. And you can start seeing the trunk as well. So main trunk line, and then yeah, these 2 big extensions of the trunk I won't be using. So as like this branch, I'll remove all the foliage and see if I can still use them for gin features. So this one comes out. And same here. So all these things that I'm pruning away would make really nice cuttings as well. Just by removing a bit of the lower foliage, cutting it at an angle. If you stick this into soil, it will root very easily. and can make future bonsai if you like. So how about that? I think almost 60-70% of the foliage gone, and the tree is really much more compact. And considering that we probably won't use much of here anyway, we're looking at a future bonsai tree that will be this size, much smaller. So then it really is a nice thick trunk for a small tree, which I think it was a good idea for this tree. But by only removing those three big branches or trunk lines, we can now really start thinking about which branches we're going to use and develop for the future for this bonsai. So finished cleaning this section. Next up we'll take the bark away, so this will be a bold gin section of the tree. Same for this one. We might shorten it eventually, but for now I think we'll use this. And then the new apex will be shaped using this current branch, so this will be the new apex. So we'll give this, we'll use some wire to give this a nice shape. And I think we only need about this much of the apex. But I am not pruning this away because I need this foliage to thicken up this section, because right now this is way too thin compared to the rest of the trunk. So what I'm going to do in the next year or perhaps 2 years is let this grow out unimpeded and really to use that to thicken up this section. So the more growth that's going to be right here, the faster this will grow thick. And so this is a sacrificial apex. I'll only use this part in the end. I do need to make a decision in this part of the trunk. There's 6 branches growing out of this small section right now, and it's just too much. So I am going to remove a few of them. I like this branch, so I'm going to keep that one. But the one just above this one I'm pruning away. I'm also removing this one. It's growing parallel to the other one, so for sure I don't need that one. So I think for now I'm going to keep the rest of these branches. The tree doesn't have all that much left anyway, so I'm using these branches, this one as well, this one, and a new apex. So I think the next step is going to be to clean up the dead wood, to take off the bark, and then a bit of wiring to set the branches in position.
Before we apply the wire, we remove dangling growth and small branches that are growing downwards. Try to select pairs of branches that are more or less of the same thickness and wire these with one piece of wire. Start with wiring the main branches and slowly work your way up the tree. Smaller and thinner branches need a thinner wire as well.
Okay, so the first thing we did was to remove the bark of these gin features, and then we wired the entire tree. I didn't set the branches in position yet, that's the next and final step, but I wanted to give you an update now. As you can see, like on the trunk we also created very small bits of shari, so a bit of dead wood going into the trunk. My plan is to expand this in the next spring, but for now we're doing more than enough to the tree, so these small incisions are fine. But eventually I want to make those a little bit longer, which also takes away the attention to this thick part right here. But that's enough about the gin features. Another, I think, important thing to know for Hinoki cypress is that these branches, I'm changing the direction, and I'm adding some S-curves when I'm setting the branch in position. But I do not want to rotate the foliage around or even put it upside down, because Hinoki cypress foliage needs to be kept in that same position with the upper side of the branches still facing in the same direction. So I can't twist this around and put it upside down because it would die off. With a juniper you can do that, but with a cypress you cannot. So anyway, the only next step is to set these branches in position, also the apex. And like I said, the top part of the apex will not be a part of the final image of the tree, but I'll use this for the next year to extend, hopefully a few feet tall or a meter tall, and that will help to thicken this part of the apex, because I want that trunk line to continue, and right now this is way too thin. The same can be said of the branches, which are quite thin now, but I will let them grow out, so I'm not removing any of the growth tips on these small branches, so I will let everything grow out in the next spring and the next growth season, because I do want this tree to grow out again and gain some girth. Alright, so the only thing left to do today is set these branches in position. Whenever you bend a branch, it really helps to bend it over your finger to make sure that it doesn't snap.
If you like this video, please help us by hitting the like button or subscribe to our channel.
So we're back in the garden 6 months after the initial styling. The tree is doing well. It's early spring right now, so we styled it in last fall, and now it's early spring. So it's a very good time to repot the tree. Of course, I'd only repot the tree if I think that the health is good enough, because we reduced it from a very large plant all the way back to this. So as you remember, these two branches or sort of new apexes are temporary, they're sacrificial. So especially now that we repotted the tree, we will maintain these just to make sure that the tree remains active and survives the process. So a year from now, after repotting, we might reduce these and start styling the tree more and more. But right now it's a good time to repot the tree. So the root mass is very large considered to the reduced foliage mass. So it's no problem at all to reduce the root mass as well. So the pot that we have in mind might be this one. We have a few options, but let's see if we can fit it in this one. The size would be still relatively large, but that's good because we need the momentum of the tree to remain strong. So I'll take it out of its pot. And start taking away the soil. And as you can see, this tree hasn't been repotted for a long time as well. The roots are circling around the inside of the pot. But it looks healthy, but we'll have to take a lot of these roots off, at least half, in order to be able to fit it into a bonsai pot. So the tools I'll use is a root rake, which is a little bit more aggressive, especially useful for the outsides and the underside of the root mass, the parts that will have to go. And then I'll use the chopstick as well, which is a bit more soft.
Styling a bonsai tree and applying these sort of techniques correctly is one of the most difficult parts in creating a bonsai tree. You can check out our YouTube channel for videos about these techniques, but perhaps also consider enrolling in one of our online bonsai courses. Here, expert teachers explain all the relevant techniques in detail, and as a student you can also ask questions directly to the teachers. Each of our online bonsai courses have free previews available in the curriculums. Simply go to bonsaiempire.com/courses.
So the root mass is very dense. I think this tree hasn't been repotted for several years. So it will be quite a work to get all the old soil away. This is planted in a mostly organic soil, which is fine if this will be planted in a garden, but if we are to plant this in a bonsai pot, we need a much more draining mix. So the mix that we always use is an inorganic bonsai substrate of akadama, pumice and lava rock. It's completely inorganic, so it drains much faster, much better. And the trees planted in small pots really like this, much better than the organic mix.
We also prune some of the old roots, which can be distinguished by the dark, almost black color. The pot that we had in mind turned out to be a little too small. We could squeeze it in there, but since the tree is still in development and will be for some time, the round, larger and training pot will suit the tree better. Next, we prepare the pot by covering the drainage holes with a mesh. We also attach 2 long wires, which will be used to anchor the tree to the pot firmly. We add a layer of soil before placing the tree into the pot. Place the tree slightly off-center in the pot and make sure to plant it at the right angle. Using the 2 long wires, we firmly attach the tree to the pot.
So 8 months have passed, we're back in the garden, and as you can see, the tree really developed well. After the last pruning we did, the tree reacted with lots of new growth. The only thing I did during summer, so 5 months ago was to slowly reduce these 2 branches in size. So they were a bit longer just to keep a bit more foliage on the tree. I reduced it, which also helped in developing the other branches. So the tree pushed the energy to these other branches. So the majority of the branches we'll be able to use, though we have to shorten them. There's just one branch here, which is, you know, part of basically 4 or 3 branches very close to each other. So this one, which is a bit tall and leggy, very straight, I'll simply remove. So one more branch that I think will need to go is this one. So we got a nice trunk leader here, the new apex of the tree, but right now there's 2, so you have to choose. And this one has much nicer ramification, more branches that we can use, so this branch will come off. All right. And then I think the next step really is to start wiring the tree. So I'll wire these branches in position and then shorten them. The tree has one obvious front, which is this side of the tree, and that's mostly because all the branches are growing on the back and side of the tree. So this is a logical open front. It's not ideal because there is a very thick part in the trunk which is visible here, but basically it's visible from any side of the tree. So it's a flaw that we have to deal with. Alright, so this has been one of the longest running projects that we've been filming here in the garden. I'm really happy with how this tree is coming along. It started, as you saw in the video, from a very tall tree. So we pruned off a big section and had 2 of those long branches remaining. So I reduced those in size over the course of a year and a half. And all the other branches really started developing because all that energy went into the other branches. Now we have a really compact tree with a lot of healthy foliage also on the insides. So that means that today we are ready for the final styling of the tree. That means wiring all the branches, doing a new branch selection as well. And I want to work a little bit on the deadwood here. This section, which is the front of the tree, is a very polished area which I don't really like. And we do have the dead branch above it. So what we can do is connect a dead part here, like a shari, that runs straight through that very straight section. And what that will do is just make this much more interesting. So that's one thing to do. I want to make a very thin shari that runs over here, and over the time we can make it a little bit broader, but I don't want to risk losing any of the branches in the tree, so we'll take it step by step. So a bit of that would work, and then in terms of branch selection we'll work through the tree and take you close up, but there's a few branches that I can discuss with you now. On this side of the tree there's a lot of options in terms of branches. If I show you like this, there's 1, 2, 3 branches. So with this being the front, it's really nice to keep this branch because it's still visible and it kind of hugs you. So this is an important branch for the tree. So I have to choose between the 2 others, and if I keep this branch, there's no way that I can also use this branch because they're growing very close to each other. So I'll use the other branch that is right here. So this branch comes off. So this I'll remove in a bit as well, but I want to discuss the back branches first. So in the back there's also quite a few branches, and this rather big one splits in 2 branches that both really grew strongly. So I think I have to choose one of the 2 because it's just too heavy right now. And then this part of the branch is really long and a bit leggy. I could use wire and put some movement in it, but the other branch just has much more quality to it. So again, easy decision. I'll just prune this one out. Well, like I said, we'll work through the tree first, doing the branch selection, then wiring all the branches, and in the end we'll work on the dead wood as well.
Before continuing, I'd like to show you our brand new Bonsai Care app. The app provides tree species specific information for all your trees, and it can set smart reminders to optimize the care for your bonsai. It is available for free in the app stores.
Alright, so finish wiring the entire tree. The next step is to set all these branches in position, and then next up for the tree is early spring when we'll repot the tree. So it was fall right now, so in a half a year from now in spring my plan is to place this in a smaller pot, a bonsai container. Also we pruned one branch here just in between 2 branches, so I just want to cover that with a bit of cut paste. So the tree It's doing well. It's early spring right now, and finally we have a chance to put it in a nice bonsai container. But the pot that I bought specifically for this tree is this one, and I think the color really matches the foliage, but also the trunk really nicely. So I hope it fits in here. I have some bigger options if needed, but actually I'm really hoping this will be the good fit for the tree. So I'll take it out of this terracotta pot and then see if we can fit it in there.
Learn how to create your own bonsai trees by enrolling in one of our online bonsai courses. We explain techniques like pruning, wiring and repotting, and you can ask questions to the teachers. For the curriculums and free lessons, go to bonsaiempire.com/courses.